Brothers in Cooperation. Brothers in Cooperation is a program brought to you by the support of the Italian Corporation. You could call it a program that is going to bring to you the Italian system. Those are activities that are done by the Italian Corporation or through the support and sometimes executed by Italians in Uganda. You might wonder, Brothers in Cooperation? You may have a brother-in-law who is not necessarily Ugandan or from your tribe, but because they've married your sister or because they are married to your brothers, there's a relationship that is established. With Brothers in Cooperation, we are going to see the initiatives, the works done by the people from Italian, and the initiatives, the activities, and stories of the commitment towards development. This afternoon, I am joined in the studio by Thomas Tamanini. Welcome, Thomas.
Hello, Sarah.
Thomas Tamanini is the project manager for the Italian Corporation. We'll be hearing about the works of rehabilitation, constructing bridges, but also a new project in Karamoja, which is about food security and education. We also have with us Claudio.
Good evening, Sarah.
Good evening. I want you to greet me in Karamoja.
A joke.
A joke. He's been in Karamoja for like over 7 years. We'll be hearing about all those experiences from Karamoja. We'll hear about the development work that they do. Don't go away, because later we have a surprise guest and I'm not ready to tell you who the surprise guest is, and you'll be interested to hear what they have to say, so don't go away. Stay tuned. We'll also be getting phone calls. Someone will join us from Karamoja, Matteo, and he will tell us about his work. He's also Italian, but he works with the World Food Program. And you will also call in and also SMS your views. Later, I'll call the SMSs, but you could start and send them now. So before you do that, you have to send an SMS by typing the word WBS, leave a space, your view and comment, and where you are, and then send it to 68. You're going to type WBS, your view and comment, tell us who you are and where you sending the message from, and then you send it to 6868. Wonderful to have you here. I think we should go directly to the interview before we talk about the corporation, because we had an interview. I'll request the people from the studio to run that interview, which also tells us about the works in Karamoja.
Chiamo Fabio, sono volontario dell'USVI, Servizio Volontario Internazionale, una ONG italiana di Brescia, e ci troviamo in Karamoja, nel Nord Uganda, dove siamo presenti da circa 25 anni. Diciamo che noi viviamo in mezzo alla gente cercando di lavorare con loro, di apportare nuove tecniche rispetto all'agricoltura e rispetto all'agroforestazione. Sta appunto partendo un nuovo progetto che coinvolgerà 5 scuole all'interno della regione. Il progetto sarà diviso in 3 sezioni principalmente. La prima riguarda insomma il discorso di sistemare un po' le infrastrutture delle scuole. La seconda sezione del progetto, la seconda parte del progetto, riguarderà invece il discorso dell'acqua all'interno delle scuole. Il terzo troncone invece, che è quello allo SVI più caro, riguarderà appunto il discorso di sensibilizzazione rispetto all'agricoltura e all'agroforestazione. Questo progetto che potremo attuare grazie alla cooperazione italiana avrà la durata di 1 anno. E in quest'anno ci sarà permesso insomma di iniziare un discorso che però avrà una sua storia.
Interesting. I think I want to go directly to Thomas, because he says it's for 1 year, but it is the start of activities. What are those activities, and what do you expect that can be rooted in 1 year?
Yeah, so this project, as Fabio was saying, has just started last week. And it involves SVI and other 4 Italian NGOs, which are CND, Cooperation and Development, COOPI, CESVI, and ISP. And it will cover 5 of the 7 districts of Karamoja. Mainly the project is based on education, where the school will be the focal point of the project. In total, we are targeting 16 schools, And as I said, the school will be the focal point where the NGOs will work mainly. And yeah, they will work on the side of rehabilitation of the infrastructure, putting new latrines, rehabilitate the kitchen and the school rooms, the dormitories. And they will provide water to the schools. And connected with this, there will be also the food security component, which means there will be some school gardens who will be put in place. Through the water we will supply, there will be also the possibility to water the gardens all through the year, so to guarantee food and a different variety of food all through the year. And at the same time, we intend to involve the community around the school, because the community, most likely, the community around the school will be also the parents of the pupils, and they will take particular care for their pupils. And so we intend to distribute to the community around some agriculture kit and give some agricultural training. Agriculture, of course, is very important, but as we know, Karamoja is most likely a pastoral area. So in those pastoral area, we are also providing eventually goats and piggery and chicken, so that where people are more used to animals than agriculture like this.
Piggery is, for me, interesting, because I've been to Karamoja, nothing anywhere near piggery, because they are pastoralists, they walk from place to place. I don't see pigs doing that. Maybe you might want to throw more light on why that is the kind of intervention you decided, and why Karamoja.
We decided this together with the NGOs who have they are staying there since many years. For example, we have here SVI, which is more than 20 years they stay in Karamoja. So, and they advised us that this could be a good initiative, and especially because at the end the animals will provide also meat for the student, which is a good is good for the diet of the student, not only vegetable but also meat.
A school is but really numbers, huge numbers. What is the nature of this garden? How is it going to sustain schools?
The gardens, first of all, we have asked the school, and every school where we are intervening will have as his own land. So the land belongs to the school, and what is our aim is to reach at least between 60 and 70% of the sustainability in terms of food for the school.
Interesting. Is that possible?
This is what we opened with. This is what we will do.
Okay. I think I would like to hear from Chiappa. By the way, Chiappa, do you know the meaning of Chiappa? In Uganda?
No.
It means land title.
Oh, that's important.
Do you have land titles?
Not yet, but soon I will be having a piece of land. I hope there is land title.
I'll have a private conversation with you after this. Tell me about Karamoja. Why, you've been there for a while. What is the possibility of achieving this objective of feeding up to 60 or 70% in Karamoja, where we right now have a spillover effect on the streets where Karamojong children do not have food? How do these gardens sustain that
Fabian was mentioning the fact that it's the beginning of something, but I can say even more. It's part of a process that started long ago. SVI came in 1984 in Nakapiripiri district, and it extended activities in Napak in 1996, and soon we'll be going to Kabong in the north. The presence for us means that we know when we come, we don't know when we go away. So time is the crucial issue. It means that if a project to be self-sustainable lasts 10 years, we stay here 10 years. If it takes 20 years, we stay around 20 years. In fact, we closed Namalu after 27 years. from 1984.
Tell me about
this year
Namaru. What is Namaru?
Namaru is a sub-county in Nakapiripiri district. So usually, in order to be very effective, we stay in a sub-county level so that we can know the people can know us, we can know the language, the culture, the food. We have to share everything to be sure that we are trusted and we trust the people. So when we propose something that usually is not our idea, but it's something that has been shared with the stakeholders, with the elders, and also with some other people that have already experimented that type of intervention in other areas in Uganda, in Karamoja, or in other countries like Kenya, where the climate conditions are almost the same. So we start the process. We don't know where it leads. I mean, we know where it leads. It leads to self-sustainability, and we can say that the project is over only when that is sustainable in terms of management or financial support.
Okay. So why did you close Namaru? Was it
because after 27 years, we saw that 80% of the farmers were implementing agricultural activities with the right methods. They were using animal traction, they were planting in rows, they were selecting the seeds, they were doing whatever we were proposing, and even a group of people that were extension workers during our project decided to have a CBO established, and in 6 years they managed to be self-sustainable financially. It means that continuing providing services with some activities generating income, they can cover the expenses that are salaries or material bought for ox plow repair, ox cart construction, or drugs for animals.
Capia, I'm really curious because it's interesting if you're saying, as you're saying, that these farmers are now can sustain themselves. How far is Namaru from Moroto? Because what explains 27 years there and you think they're sustainable and their World Food Program is really one thing because of the lack of food supply, and we have plenty of Karamojong's children on the streets. How far is it from Moroto?
It's 120 kilometers.
Oh.
Of course, I didn't say that. Usually, since we are talking about agriculture, we chose the very fertile areas. Around some mountains, we have rainfall that is like in Kampala, even if it's not very well distributed. So we have 1,200, 1,300, 400 millimeters per year, distributed from March, the end of March, to the beginning of April. So the production is a lot. During the dry season, the people have to commit themselves to store and to be sure that the food is enough for the period that is taking to the new rain season.
Okay, so you think there is no Namaru street children? Do you can, for instance, think they've not been hit so hard with the climate variations the way the rest of Karamoja is?
Let me say that very few probably, because they come from some other areas, I think, where probably the cultivation, agriculture is very difficult. Even if some young guys with their mothers were also from Iriri, from Napak area, where we are implementing the project. But just because there was no any project there, just the missionaries in the 1670s and 80s were trying to develop a bit of agriculture with some modern techniques. But the beginning in that sub-county, but I think in the entire Napak district, started in 1996 when we opened the project there. I think up to a few years ago, we were the only NGO implementing agricultural activities, using animal traction as a power for cultivating, planting, harrowing.
Interesting, and I'm thinking if the Minister of Disaster Preparedness is there listening, and anybody from government and the stakeholders, the Karamojong elders, it says something about planning. If we don't have people from Namaru, I don't know, I would strongly, it's not my place, but recommend that with better planning, maybe we wouldn't have all these problems of famine, which also brings me back to it took you 27 years. As we have seen the project that is being prepared right now, the arrangements are for 1 year. Thomas, what is in place for you to deal with, for instance, they had to take 27 years. How far have you gone? What is the nature of preparation you've done? Do you think you can handle 27 years, or do you have any mechanisms which will cut short the process of 27 years but deal with the issues in Karamoja, particularly when it comes to food security?
For sure, we can't achieve everything in 1 year. This is clear. But what we want to do with this project is like to put a seed in the ground, and usually if the weather is okay and it is good watered, the seed will grow. And I'm sure that almost all of the Italian NGOs involved in this project are in Karamoja since many years. And so this will, as I said, this project is just the grassroots, and then and then it will grow anyway in the future. And I assume during this year there will be another. I will be in touch with my head office to see what will be the next step.
I would like to sort of like be educated further on the nature of your work with government, particularly the ministry in charge of Karamoja, because these initiatives that you're establishing, one, to avoid a duplication of what other efforts are being put in place, but also in terms of sharing the experiences, because if these Karamojong organizations like SVI have been in Karamoja, and there was Anamalu, which sounds to me like a successful story in terms of dealing with the famine threats, how come these other stakeholders who are operating in Karamoja did not deal with that problem or foresee such interventions? What are you doing to work with other stakeholders, particularly government?
For us, of course, we are in touch with the Minister of Karamoja. We have informed them about our activities, and we are also in touch with other governmental and international institutions who are on the ground. Especially, we had some discussion with World Food Program, which is also implementing food distribution since many years in Karamoja, and we are trying this type of project we are now going to implement will be also a kind of pilot project for the self-sustainability of the schools. Because for now, as I was saying, World Food Program was doing only food distribution. But what we are trying to do with this project and what we want to do is that this school will be self-sufficient on the side of food. And this is why we are in touch really personally. I have contacted, as I said, World Food Program, and all the local government authorities are informed, and we also informed the Minister for Karamoja. Practically other NGOs who are not involved, international NGOs who are not involved in this specific project, but they are still on the ground in Karamoja, are informed about it. And yeah, and this is the way we intend to continue.
Interesting. I would like to sort of like appeal to the people who are tuned in, especially people who are like implementing government programs and also other stakeholders, to sort of like network with the Italian corporation, because in Luganda, which is the most widely spoken language here, which is my mother's language, they say that if someone is crying on your behalf and you've lost a relative, you should cry even harder. So I would appreciate a process where we are actually crying more than the people who are crying on our behalf. But that and more is what we are going to discuss after the break. Time might not be our best ally, but I'll be interested in hearing from you, so please do not hesitate to SMS and to also use our toll-free line, which is 0800 200 which is 0800 2030. It's toll-free, and we'll be interested to hear from you. Later on, as Thomas was saying, there are other people they work with, and we'll be hearing from Matteo, who is Italian, but working for the World Food Program, to share the experiences of what it is like in Karamoja. So don't go away, stay with us. And when we come back, I would also like to hear more from Chiappa and more from Thomas about your experiences in Uganda and what it's been like in Karamoja. Do you have a wife? Karamojong wife?
I have a wife, but she's not Karamoja.
Oh, interesting. I want to hear more when we come back after the break. Thank you, and stay with us. Welcome back. Before the break, I was asking Chiappa here if he has a Karamojong wife.
And Chiappa said that he has no Karamoja wife.
Uh-huh. So I'm curious to know. Okay, I'm curious to know why, of all places, you chose Karamoja. Was it destined before you left Italy that you're going to Karamoja?
No, SVI has a kind of course, training course for volunteers. So after participating for 2 years at this training course, they asked me if I wanted to go to Uganda because there was a project starting funded by the European Union, and I came to visit the place in August 1995, and I fell in love for the place. So in a few days back to Italy, I told my president, I'm ready. And in January 1996, I was here.
What was it about Uganda that made you fall in love?
I don't know. I don't know, because I reached the place in Karamoja and I said, yeah, I'm going to spend 3 years here, and now I'm still around after 16.
7 years, no? How many years?
16 years. Not in Karamoja, 6.5 in Karamoja, and the rest in Kampala, because we have a regional headquarters. We follow other projects from here in Kenya, Burundi, Zambia, and Mozambique.
Okay. When you were coming from Italy, what was your experience like? What did you expect to find? I went to Sweden, and there was this cousin sister of mine who wanted to show me how they shop in a supermarket, because they think in Africa you're going to find wild animals in the car park. What did you think, and what did you see as opposed to the views you had when you were coming?
No, I didn't have any idea of what. Of course, I knew about Africa because I was very interested. I was reading books and watching a lot of film movies and some other nice films. And so I don't know, it's maybe at the beginning the light, the space, the smell of savannah, and of course the people. They were telling me the Karamojans will be very tough with you, but after a few hours I was already sharing the hot beer they call kutu kutu with them, so I say, okay, this is the place to spend 3 years as a volunteer.
You established a brotherhood with the Karamojans?
Immediately. They are not so tough.
Really? Okay, well, you might want to hear that. For those of you who are afraid to go to Karamoja, they're not that tough. It depends on, I think, how you rub them. Thomas?
Yes, please.
How did you end up in Uganda?
I end up the first time 7 years ago, when again an Italian NGO was proposing me a project about rural development in the eastern part of the country. And so I came here. I spent from 2004 to 2006. Then I went again a bit abroad, still in Africa, in other countries like Rwanda, Burundi, Darfur, Sudan. And but then at the end I decided to come back to Uganda, and also during those years when I was not in Uganda, I was coming back because it was my kind of home base.
Oh my God, am I not proud to be Ugandan? Tell me why, of all these places that you went to, there was this appeal for you to touch base with Uganda and then to finally come back to Uganda. What's the difference between Uganda and all these other African countries, neighboring countries that you've been to?
At the end, all African countries are different. It's not that they are all the same. And particularly in Uganda, I have always met jolly people with whom I can share, I can laugh, we can have nice time. And at the end, even the life is, I like the way of living in Uganda in general. So this is why mainly I decided to put Uganda as my base point.
And working with Ugandans, how has it been like?
You know, I think at the end we are all human beings. So it doesn't matter Ugandans or Italians or what. At the end, you get good people, you get bad people, people who want to cheat on you, people who want a real relationship, they become like kind of brothers with you. But in general, I can say I had a good relationship with the people I was working with, and so I'm happy about it.
I'm afraid I'll come back to you, but there's someone online, and would be interested to hear from them. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Wonderful to hear from you. Where are you calling from? Who am I speaking to?
This is Mateo from Nakapiripiriti.
Hey, Mateo. How is Karamoja, Nakapiripiriti?
Beautiful.
Beautiful. Wonderful to have you.
Thanks a lot.
I'm curious to know how you're dealing with the food crisis in Karamoja, World Food Program. I was there in 2008, and they were really constrained in terms of food and dealing with the demand and supply. Is it still the same?
Well, as you know, from 2005 until 2009, there were many consecutive years of drought. So now the situation has improved because in the past 2 years, Karamoja received quite good rain. So I cannot get Italian food here, but there is something, let's say.
Okay, well, I'm curious to know the relationship between World Food Program and the Italian Corporation.
The relationship is, our headquarters is in Rome. So that's the only relationship we have with Italian Corporation. And sometimes the Italian Corporation give us some money.
Oh, I'm sorry, we seem to have lost Mateo there, but thank you very much. Mateo, find a tree, climb it, call back, you get network, and we'll be happy to hear from you again. I want to come back to Thomas. Briefly, I would like to hear about some of the projects you are working on, because the Italian Corporation, before I've learned that this is a new project, but before that you were working in Northern Uganda?
Yes, we were from 2000. We started mid of 2009 infrastructure project in northern Uganda, particularly in Agago district, which is one of the new districts. Before was Pader district, was divided into two, and the project is now ending, and it was focused on road rehabilitation and bridge reconstruction. This came because, especially in 2007 and 2008, that area of Acholiland was particularly affected by the floods, and there was no much communication during the rainy season. So what we decided, Italian Corporation is present in that area since many years, before with child protection projects and food security project. And now, after these floods, after us being present there so much, the office in Kampala decided to make this proposal and to make this project practically, so that we can even work on the road infrastructure of the area. And especially with this project, what we hope is that the hospital in Kalongo, which is the main hospital in the area, can be accessed all through the year, also during the rainy season.
Okay. Well, I've seen a lot of work, and I'm curious to know, because I see huge machines, and I would like to know the nature, because we've seen roads being constructed after 1 or 2 years, those roads are washed away. What is your approach? Who are you working with? Are you bringing people, technical people from Italy? What is the arrangement?
Let's say on the administrative side, so tender procedure and stuff like this, we were following the Italian rule. But on the technical side, we were working hand in hand with UNRA, the Uganda National Road Authority, and we were sharing technical inputs together. We had we decided which company to invite to bid for this tender, and actually for this work of the bridge, there were some Italian company, but there were also Ugandan company, Swedish company, if I'm not wrong, and so. Yeah.
Yeah, the videos we are watching right now are videos when the Acholi people are celebrating that bridge, because before that bridge they had trouble with access to the hospital and to other parts. So that, I think, was at the launch, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. This was when the ambassador launched at the end of July the bridge.
So it's just ended, this construction?
Yeah, the construction officially it has ended 14th of August.
Okay, it is too early to tell if it will stand the test of time, especially in as far as floods are concerned. What do you think of the works?
I think we had already an experience, because a few days after the finishing of the bridge, there were heavy rains, and all the area was flooded. But good enough, through this new bridge, the road was still accessible. So I think one test was already been made. Let's see in the future, but I quite have no doubt about that.
Wow, bravo, congratulations. I might want to tell you that actually Thomas here is also an engineer. Were you involved in the technical parts? Were you working?
Yes, let's say during before the construction, still during the planning, I was involved partly, and another part was given to another engineer office to prepare some plans and stuff like this for the bridge itself. But then there was also all the part of earth movement, the logistic and everything, where I was involved, and of course I was also involved in the supervision during the work.
Wow!
And I was really impressed, because the work started in December 2010, and there were the contract time was 10 months, so the end was supposed to be in October 2010, but the company the company was working so hard and pretty good, so that they were able to finish mid of August.
Did you put them on pressure? Finish quickly.
I was on their neck,
really?
to be honest.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Do I want you to be my supervisor?
No.
I might not lay back. I want to remind you that you're watching Brothers in Cooperation, a program that is brought to you through the support and sponsorship of the Italian Corporation and the Italian Embassy. It shows us works, development works done in partnership with the support of the Italian corporations and the people from Italy. Some of the works are implemented by Ugandans, others are not. And talking about that, I want to go back to Thomas. Could you please tell me if you give any conditions? Like, if you want us to give you this road, it should be Italians who have to repair it.
No, in this case, it was we call it gift. So it was just a gift to the Italian government, and from the Italian government to the Ugandan government, and there were no particularly condition, only that we had to follow, as I said before, for all the tender and administrative procedure. We had to follow the Italian rules. This was the only specification.
What are the rules and conditions that International Volunteer Service gives?
Oh, we don't have rules. We want to be sure that the requests come from the community, whatever they ask for, because our projects are in agricultural sectors, but also in agroforestry sector, and animal husbandry, environmental conservation. So we want to be sure that there is the will of the people in participating, and then the rest comes.
Okay. As earlier indicated by Thomas, they have other organizations they're working with. Italian, there's CESVI, there's COOPI, there's
ISP and Cooperation and Development, CND.
And they're all now, this time in Karamoja, involved in schools?
Yeah,
and education.
They are all involved in this project.
Why choose 5 districts only? What's the criteria?
We selected the most affected, let's say, affected district by the dry out. So those who are already involved in, they have a good agricultural process already going on. We leave them a bit out this time.
Okay, some of the schools that we are looking at now, the videos are. Those are some of the schools where the interventions are going to be. Once again, I'd like to remind you or to invite you to share your views with us, questions or comments. Send the SMS to WBS, leave a space, put your view, comment, tell us where you're from and who you are, and then send it to 6868. You can also call us on our toll-free line, which is 0800 2000 30. I repeat, 0800 2000 30. Tell me, I want to come back to you. As security is concerned after the disarmament process?
I think that probably in the last 25 years, this is the most safe moment for being in Karamoja. In 1996, when I came, my colleagues who had started the project in 1984 told me any kind of ambush on the road, raids, castle rustling, organized by large amounts of warriors everywhere. Now the roads are quite safe, very safe. You can move at daytime and not at nighttime as it was for the last, I think, 12 years, up to a few years ago. In fact, I discovered Karamoja recently because before I could move only at night time.
Even you?
Yes, of course, because we were not using soldiers or police to escort us, so we moved alone at night to be sure to be safe. Most of the ambushes were at daytime, but now it's I mean, you can move safely, and the number of raids are reducing and perpetrated by small groups of warriors, but it's reducing a lot. So I think Karamoja has never been so safe.
Great. Wonderful to have you again on this show. Thank you for keeping with us. This is Brothers in Cooperation, a program that shows you initiatives by the Italians, work in development, brotherhood, forged through the works that are done to develop others, to develop our country, Uganda, with funds, support, and sometimes human resource from Italy. We'll go for a break, and when we come back, there's a surprise guest. So don't go away. You do not want to miss that guest, and you want to hear all those questions that we want to ask, and maybe you want to take part and ask our guests the questions. I won't tell you if it's a she or he. That's up to you to stay with us. You'll find out. Welcome back from the break. Before the break, I promised you a special guest, the long-awaited special guest. Welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Sarah.
Andrea Della, Nebbia, the chargé d'affaires of the Italian Corporation and Italian Embassy. Welcome.
Thank you, Sarah, and thanks to WBS for hosting this program.
It's an honor to have you here.
Thank
Tell me, why did you decide to have this program, Brothers in Cooperation, and what do you think about it?
You know, in times of financial crisis, when countries are struggling to maintain their cooperation, every euro we spend is more precious. So we thought it was high time to give to our intervention the most visibility possible.
Interesting. When you talk about the financial crisis and every coin spent, I sort of like a chill ran through, because I'm like, you have gone to areas where actually some of those areas are marginalized, particularly the north and northeast, Karamoja. What is the future of this cooperation and the support, Italian corporations supporting projects in Uganda?
Well, we start from a very solid base because our cooperation is really based on the past, and not only with the government supported initiative, but mainly at the beginning from the missionaries, and then the privates, the NGOs, and the government actually came last. We built on this basis. Now we are at a point which we are very proud of, and we as an embassy, we think we are doing our best to demonstrate to our headquarters how making cooperation with Uganda is still worth. Okay. So we really hope that we might be able to continue.
So there's a bit of a tough task for the embassy to prove why, to justify why that support must continue to the Italians?
This is a situation that every country in Europe is facing, in every country all over the world. So it's not only us, and we are doing our part of the bid.
Well, I think we are really, I don't think, I know, we are proud of the work, particularly what we've just had in Karamoja, what we had last week in Northern Uganda. And I would like to understand the nature of your work, you and how you work with these, with the Italian-based NGOs here. Do you identify, are you the ones who decide the nature of intervention that they bring?
The process might be different. There are several approaches. It might be an idea of yours, of ours. It can be a proposal from an NGO which we like very much. In the case of the Karamoja project, this was actually an idea of ours, and it was our previous program manager who was very active in the region. He came out with this idea, and we decided to open the bid to all the NGO, all the Italian NGOs, and also to local NGOs who were they could partner with our NGO. So it was really an open process. Eventually the 5 of them applied, and I was in the commission studying their application, so I'm also a bit part of the process.
Interesting. So how long have you been at the mission?
I've been in the mission 3 years and 9 months, and it's with some regret that I say that my staying here will finish in 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks?
Yes.
So we are lucky to have you as you're going?
You're very lucky.
Oh, I'm happy. I'm honored to host you, and WBS is proud to have you as a guest. I'm curious to know what your impressions of Uganda have been like.
My permanence here has been very challenging on a number of issues, and it has been very successful since I developed very many competencies, and I traveled all over the country, so I really gained a lot from this experience.
Okay, so how do you like Uganda?
Like very much.
Okay, how is it like for you to leave Uganda?
I'm sure it will be very sad, but in our job there is no time for regrets. So I'm very sad of leaving Uganda. At the same time, I'm also very much excited of changing, because that's how the job is.
Well, I was about to ask, how is it like for a person like you, the nature of your job? You go, hardly have you settled in, you leave. Do you ever have friends? How do the family, how does it cope up being on the move all the time?
This is something I will be able to tell you in a few years, because I'm building my family in this very month.
Oh.
So for the time being, everything is very fine.
Oh, can I say good luck with building your family?
Thank you.
Okay, in your experience, what do you think is the future of the Italian cooperation, and what do you think of international cooperation generally, not just with the Italians, but international cooperation support generally?
I think that development cooperation has evolved a lot throughout the years. In the past, the mainly project approach was somehow limiting, because you couldn't be sure of what you were building was useful. You came up with an idea, you wanted to build a school, you built a school there, but as Claudio was saying, requests must come from the community, otherwise you just risk of going there and build something which is useless. But I'm happy to say that we did not commit this mistake, because we made a very good job in the past. But the cooperation has evolved now through a more general approach, which is based on the national priorities. So you might think that you are doing exactly what is needed, and I think that this is the future of international cooperation.
Whereby they are guided by the interests and needs as indicated by the nations?
To work more closely with the hosting country, listening to their priority, and allowing your initiative to be aligned.
Andrea, tell me, I keep asking myself, because it's well said that there's no such a thing as a free lunch. I won't have you answer for other countries, but for Italy, what is the need for you to inject a lot of money in other countries like Uganda? What are your benefits? What do you get?
At the beginning, it was, but I'm talking about the 60s, so at the beginning it was a necessity to come here and being a kind of back help for who was already in the country. Like, again, the missionaries and the NGOs. They were doing the job, and we were here to help, and as Italian cooperation, and then to establish the political relation with the country at the time. From the past, again, the situation has evolved, and now it's not only the old development cooperation, now it's about building a partnership. And with Uganda, we have a strong partnership. Actually, I might say that we are a strategic partner in some issues, like very important one, Somalia, for example. And given our strong collaboration, just last month, we requested Italy, Uganda, and the United Kingdom for a summit to be organized in New York, the United Nations, about Somalia, and it was our small common success.
Oh, really? Interesting. So there might not be monetary benefits, but there's some benefits in this partnership? Or purely martyrdom complex?
When you have a friend, you don't want to lose it, because you never know what comes good out of it. And for the time being, the result is very good.
Can you tell me some of the good that has come out? Okay, I heard about Somalia. What are the other good?
Well, it's also good. It's also good on a practical point of view for the investments. Italian investments are growing in Uganda, and I see it since I'm also responsible for the commercial office at the embassy. And I'm happy to say that I also see very much interest from the Ugandan side to develop a commercial relation in Italy. And as a Minister of Foreign Affairs in Rome, we organized a number of visits for government officials, especially in the field of agriculture, especially in the field of trade, for them to come and meet companies in Italy, so that something might come out. Yes.
Interesting. I look forward to a time when I say go to Italy or anywhere and I find a Ugandan investor in Italy. Do you think there's a possibility? Are we investing there?
For the time being, you are surely importing a lot, and you can see from the commercial centers, from the shops in almost every corner of the city in Kampala, you find very good Italian dresses, very good Italian products to eat, and it was not like this when I came almost 4 years ago, and now I really can see that the partnership also in this sector is growing, strengthening.
Great. You might also want to know that Italy has a good reputation in as far as their shoes are concerned. It's a sales point. This is Italian shoes. I want to come back to you. It's wonderful to have you here. Again, I would like to encourage you to send in more SMSs. I just got an SMS and someone is asking, WBS, is Abim district part of Karamoja? If so, do you have any plan for it? Thanks. This is from Bali, and of course I don't think WBS might have a plan at this juncture, so that goes to Thomas and to Claudio.
Yeah, Abim is a district, one of the new districts in Karamoja, and Abim is part of this district of Karamoja in the green belt, so where the agriculture, the climate at least, and the soil is very fertile for agriculture. With this project, we are not present in Abim district, but we have CESVI and CND, two Italian NGOs, who are working there since many years.
What's the nature of their intervention in Abim?
I don't know exactly, but it should be on agriculture again.
You have a clearer picture of what they're
yeah,
doing in Abim?
we are supposed to go to Abim to help the community there. Then we came to know that other NGOs were already planning to go to do almost what we do usually. So, as Thomas said, CESVI is there for forming field farmer schools and yeah.
Okay, I would like to come back to you. We have someone online. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Wonderful to have you calling.
Okay, my name is Harry. My question is, will they be bringing other projects in Central and Southern Uganda, or they are just stationed in the north?
I think that goes to you, Andrea. Are you bringing other projects to Central Uganda? Thomas, you might chip in. And other parts of Uganda.
Well, very recently a project ended in Luwero, in an hospital there. So that's the most recent intervention I know from Central Uganda. It was with Italian cooperation money, but it was implemented by an Italian NGO called ISP. This said, it is true that our intervention is mainly in the northern Uganda at large. So, Acholi region, Karamoja, West Nile. Why? Because when you must repair a house, you start from the roof. And so the northern part was the most needed, the one who is most in need, and that's where we concentrated.
A quick one. Or I'm afraid I was going to ask you, but we have somebody else online. Hello. 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 Could you please be a little louder? Hello.
Hello.
Yes, I can hear you. May I know who is calling? Where are you calling from? Unfortunately, we have lost that caller. Can I come back to you? Is it by design? I understand that there was a need, and actually, I'm happy as a person. I'm sure many others would agree that the North and Northeast needed that intervention. What happens if somebody writes a proposal from other parts of Uganda and there seems to be a design that it's Italian-based organization? What happens if somebody has a project elsewhere, not Karamoja, not Northern Uganda, and they need intervention and they are not Italian NGO?
Thank you very much for this question, because it gives me the opportunity to talk about something I had forgot. We study every proposal. We study every proposal, and not necessarily we are limited to Italian NGOs. But some procedures must be respected. So as Thomas was saying, for example, we need some legal documents which eventually are only Italian or European. So that would be a bit difficult to accept everybody. But apart from our intervention as Italian Cooperation Embassy of Italy, and I'm running because I know that you like cutting time, but you must never forget that Italy participates almost 13% to the European Development Fund, which is pumping some 400 million euros in Uganda from 2008 to 2013. So 13% of that money is Italian money. And the European Union, the European delegation to Uganda, which is bigger than us, has more structure, they are able to intervene almost everywhere. And they do a lot for the central region as well.
I'm sorry to hijack you on this one, but being a culture practitioner, I'm really keen, because this government does not attach a lot of priority to culture. And I learned from reviewing some literature that the Italian government, as are many governments in Europe, are withdrawing from the culture fund. What is the future of culture? How do we as culture practitioners come in terms of funding culture activities?
We were not very active in the sector anyway. So we are certainly not withdrawing, since we were not doing. I cannot comment on other countries' activities, I'm sorry.
That is understandable. Time is not our best ally. Once again, we are watching Brothers in Cooperation, a program brought to you by the Italian Corporation. It shows the Italian system in Uganda, the development work, the friendship that has been forged in the interest and spirit of promoting development. I'll also tell you that we have with us here Claudio. Claudio is the country representative from the International Service, Voluntary Service. We also have Thomas, Engineer Thomas. I'm sorry if I didn't give you your proper title. Thomas Tamanini.
Yes.
He's the project manager of the Italian Corporation. Quickly, what would you like to say to Ugandans, all of you, like briefly, in as far as development is concerned and working for development?
I would like to say one thing that you were asking Andrea before, that you said, what about Ugandan in Italy? In my town, so far I know up to last year, there was a pub owned by and managed by a Ugandan family. And I was so proud when I was going back to my town.
I'm proud to hear that. Chiappa, quickly.
Yeah, all Ugandans, please protect the environment, because without trees we cannot develop anything.
Oh, thank you. Andrea, parting word. Looks like we are lucky to have you 2 weeks to your departure.
Yes.
What is the parting word to the Ugandans?
That Ugandans as a whole, people and government and institutions, they take ownership.
Oh, thank you. Wonderful, like I say, to have you. It's been great to have you guests. You've been wonderful guests. Please stay tuned to WBS TV. This program is replayed on Tuesday. Please do not miss it. And stay tuned. There's more interesting programming. Don't go away. Have a fabulous weekend.